So something you're probably seeing this week is that, well, there is no House of Commons action happening due to it being Remembrance Day week, which means many of the MPs went back to their ridings to participate in Remembrance Day ceremonies, talk to their constituents, and have some good old conversations about what is going on in Ottawa. Which means this is the first time Mr. Floor Crosser, Chris d'Entremont, had to go back to his riding and have to face the people that he said he was now supporting because he crossed the floor to Liberals who support his riding more than the current Conservative Party. So he had to go face the reality and not just hypothesize of what people are actually feeling in his riding. And, well, if you guessed it was a negative reaction, well, you would be correct. It's exactly what happened. We'll be discussing all of that. Welcome to the Elevate Podcast. I'm your host, Josh. If you get any value from today's episode, take the time to like, share, and subscribe. It helps us to grow. It helps us get to new audiences. And it helps people see that there is something different than what the mainstream media has to offer. And now let's get into our first story, shall we? As I said, Mr. d'Entremont went back to his riding for Remembrance Day festivities. And, well, there is no place safe for this man, not even the solemn occasion of Remembrance Day at the Legion of all places. It was reported here by Annapolis Valley Register, which again is the publication from his riding, says this: d'Entremont booed at Remembrance Day ceremony in Annapolis Royal, which, as I said, people must be fairly mad to boo you during a Remembrance Day ceremony, but we read through. Acadie Annapolis MP Chris d'Entremont was booed while laying a wreath at the Remembrance Day service in Annapolis Royal on November 11th. A week earlier, the MP crossed the floor in the House of Commons. Yeah, we know the story. d'Entremont said people booed him before the service when he went to the bathroom at the Royal Canadian Legion Port Royal Branch 21. He couldn't imagine they would do it during the service, though, would they? Oh, well. But they did. He said, I just sort of under my breath said, no, not the place for it. This is a solemn event. Branch 21 President Angela Amaro issued a statement November 12th saying at least 3 people booed d'Entremont while he was laying the wreath. Conduct there will not be tolerated in the Legion. She called the heckling disrespectful. To those that booed Christopher d'Entremont at the service, we say shame on you. This piece is not giving it justice. She actually wrote that in all caps in the official letter. Amaro said, you have ruined the day that we remember our fathers, sons, daughters, and grandparents that paid the ultimate sacrifice for the very thing that you seemed entitled to, the right to give your opinion. She said there's a time and place for political discord. Our Remembrance Day service is not one of those times or places. Amaro said, you not only disrespected the veterans in the building, the serving military members, and the general public, but you disrespected the sacred service of remembrance that we were trying to accomplish. d'Entremont was upset the incident occurred. It makes me feel bad that I was there and sort of drew that in service in front of the Legion members. d'Entremont has said he decided to leave the Conservative caucus because he had enough of the negativity. I know this is not a popular move, he said. I did it for the right reasons. Keep telling yourself that, Chris. Keep telling yourself that so you can try to sleep at night, because I'm sure you've lost a lot of sleep over the past week. d'Entremont said there are ways for people to contact him and have a discussion about the move, but to boo at a solemn ceremony was not right. He said no one who booed him approached him after the ceremony to discuss his decision. d'Entremont said there's been an outpouring of disgust in response to the boos and people doubling down in their support of him. Or have they now? Have they now? So here's the thing, folks. I agree. You shouldn't be booing really anybody or anything at a Remembrance Day ceremony. Really, at these types of events, whether it be funerals, Remembrance Day ceremonies, or really any event that was calls for direct introspection and time of silence to remember those who've gone before us, yeah, you're going to have to leave those politics at the door and be focused on why you're there. However, I put this on the flip side. He says, you can talk to me whenever you want. Yet if people feel the need to boo you at a place like a Remembrance Day ceremony, are you actually available to talk? Typically, when we start seeing reactions like this at events like this, means you're actually unavailable and not willing to talk to your constituents. Well, they could have come to me afterwards. Sure, they could have. The reality is, the fact you locked down your X account, you're likely, from what I've heard, you're not particularly responding with purpose in terms of those who are sending emails to your office right now. If anything, they're getting a templated response. Again, that's alleged. That's alleged at this point. But if that's the case, I can see why people would boo you at a Remembrance Day ceremony. If they feel like the typical avenues that they have to communicate to you how they're feeling are being stripped away, well, it's going to come out in other ways and at inappropriate times, such as this one. We've seen this with the Trudeau government in general. We saw it with the convoy is the perfect example of that. If you had just gone and talked to the protesters, it wouldn't have escalated, quote unquote, escalated, meaning they wouldn't have been there for 2 weeks. If you just respected them, spoke to them, didn't disrespect them in the media, hide, claim you had COVID. But obviously, it seems like Don Trudeau is cutting off those areas of communication. And that's, as I've said, happy to be corrected on that. But from what I've heard, that is what he's done. So, of course, people are going to be frustrated. And for him to stand up saying, well, everyone in my riding supports me. Well, if they're booing you at a Remembrance Day ceremony, that's ugly. The action itself is ugly, but the fact that people feel like they have to do that or want to do that and then act on it is also something that's very telling. I'm also not going to say you're going to act like it was the whole room that did it and it was tens of people, because we know how small these Legion buildings really are. But as I said, there was at least 3, they said, who felt bold enough to do that during a Remembrance Day ceremony. What happens if you get outside that venue and it becomes a more appropriate time to express how they feel about your decision? Those numbers start growing. What are those sentiments at this point? Again, in this article, I was tired of the negativity. No, you're just mad you didn't get a speakership. You're just mad you didn't get what you wanted, and then you looked to stab Poilievre in the back the first chance you got to make sure it really, really hurt. And you were so out of control with how you dealt with it. It was so chaotic that Mark Carney and the Liberal Party were able to hamstring you and put you in a terrible position that they actually exposed you during budget day because you were so careless in how you took care of this. I truly believe you didn't mean for that to happen the way it did, but you made a deal with the devil and he screwed you over, even in the moment that you were trying to cross over. And then you made the story about Andrew Scheer, the party whip. That's the story. But the story is not how Mark Carney screwed you over, even on the very decision of you crossing the floor. They screwed you in how they leaked that story. I guarantee that story was leaked to put you in a tough spot to have to make a decision. They did try to do the same thing to Jean Roux as well. But Jean Roux said, screw you guys, I'm out. I'm sticking with the party, and I'm going to go hang out with my family in BC. Adios. But Donald Trump couldn't do that. Instead, he had to go do the equivalent of what Blake Snell and Glasnow did when they left their respective teams to go join the super powerhouse Los Angeles Dodgers and then bragged about it after the World Series win. This is Don Tremont to a T right now.
In this organization, what does it say?
It's unbelievable, but we chased this in 2020. We lost it. Oh, yeah. And now we on this team.
I know. It's incredible.
Welcome to the
Yeah, you can't beat join them, baby. Hello.
We lost to this team in 2020, and now we on this team, and now we're winning. Yeah, can't beat them, join them, baby. Yeah, high five. Losers. Loser behavior here. But that's Chris D'Entremont right there. Yeah, can't beat him, join him. That's exactly what he did. That is exactly what he did. And this is why people are frustrated, though, is you joined the party that has been screwing over your community. The crime that's rampant, especially around the fisheries, where people's lives are on the line. And the only reason they're on the line is because of poor policy and the ignoring of obvious issues is putting their lives in danger. And now you're joining the party that's allowing that to happen. That's why people are upset. People's lives are literally on the line. It's not just their financial lives, which is also very important, but their physical lives are in danger due to the crime around your fisheries. And what did you sell out for? A little bit extra in your salary and a couple of wharfs that they promised to repair for you? You sold them out. People were relying on you, Chris, and you sold them out. Again, the party that has allowed stuff like this to happen is who you sold out for.
Let me say this. York Regional Police remains committed to keeping our community safe. Our officers continue to work around the clock to find justice for victims of crime and to prevent future crime from impacting the residents of our region. As you'll hear in a moment, those we've arrested in this case were out on a release order or probation, which once again highlights why police chiefs across the country, myself included, remain adamant that changes need to be made to the system. I'm incredibly disappointed that dangerous criminals are continuously released back into the community, only to reoffend and re-victimize the public.
That's the party you're now supporting, Don Tremont. Oh, I'm just tired of the negativity. Well, guess what? We're tired of the negativity too. The negative policies that are impacting and causing people to lose their lives. That's who you sold out to. The reason why I had to hit it home for what's happening in your riding is because, oh, that's Toronto. Forget Toronto. No. This stuff's happening in your community too. Fishers, ordinary people are being victimized by this government's inaction. And you went and joined that team. So, yep, I think the Legion was right to call out the behavior for what it was. However, you don't get the right to hide behind the poppy for protection. You don't get that right. The Legion can call that out, and they're right to do so, and they should do so. But you don't get to use our poppy as a shield to protect yourself. That's absolutely cowardly. If you're going to make a decision like that, you're going to make a move like that, you take it on the chin like a man. Whether it's respectful or not, you gave up the right to be offended by that because of what you did. That might just be how I feel about things. When I've made mistakes in the past and I've earned the right to be criticized for those things, I was never going to be the person to be critical of the people who are criticizing me because I was offended with how they criticized me. You don't get to do that. The Legion gets to do that. The head of Legion gets to do that. You don't get to do that. Because again, you went to a party that is overseeing the complete economic collapse of our country. And you agreed with it. And you fought against it. And now you've joined that force. The same party that has gone on and done this at COP30 down in Brazil, the one who just cleared out all that laneway in the rainforest for the sake of climate change so they can have their stupid meeting. And this is what they are continuing to promise when our people at home are suffering.
Climate action and economic prosperity go hand in hand. Through innovation, global cooperation, and ambitious leadership, Canada is helping to shape a clean, resilient, and prosperous future. A future that leaves no one behind.
It's not new money. This is part of a pledge that Canada made back in 2021, $5 billion over 5 years. This is part of that's being not diverted, but put through today to these groups. Minister de Brussen couldn't comment whether and how much Canada might pledge for the next 5 years, as this tranche is over as of the end of 2025. And
you continue to join the party that continues to sacrifice and give dollars upon dollars upon dollars away, but we continue to suffer. Well, we don't know what they've pledged yet for moving on forward. No, but you joined the party that pledged $5 billion when we were suffering in the first place. 2021, when that first was pledged. Oh, but they have a new face of the party, new prime minister. Things are changing. Are they? Keep an eye on this. It may not be $5 billion, but it will be in the billions of what they give to other countries for the sake of climate change. Well, your community suffers greatly. But yeah, you get an increased salary. Good for you. To end on a lighter note, I'm going to show a skit that This Hour's 22 Minutes put on this week about this very issue. If YouTube forces me to take this down, then I'll leave the link here in the notes. You can watch it on your own. However, I thought this was comical. Oh, he's jumping. There you go. A little bit lightheartedness. This Hour's 22 Minutes now doing their job of making fun of both sides more, which is great to see. And we'll leave it on that note. But anyways, enjoy your day. Have yourselves a good one. I'm out.